Hey guys, welcome to What's Up Nashville. I'm Kane Harrison, filling in for Brian, and I'm here with John Bransford, CEO of Talkapolis. Welcome, John.
Thank you.
Mate, we're going to talk today about something that's very dear to our hearts at Talkapolis, and that is TV and film incentives, or lack thereof, in Nashville, Tennessee. You have had something to do with this due to your television background from HBO in New York. Tell us a little bit about that first.
Well, my background in HBO in New York doesn't have that much to do with this directly. Maybe more when I spent time in Los Angeles in the same business. I just learned about the concept of film and TV incentives that states can give different production entities. And I spent some time in Vancouver as well, which is really, Canada has that really down, apparently. And other than that, I'm not an expert at it, but I have some knowledge of the mechanics. So, you know.
Well, I think that's interesting in itself because, I mean, you are CEO of Talkapolis Microcasting Network, which is at the forefront of the way we're going to view content into the future. You've worked at places like HBO in New York, in LA, all those different things, and you don't know very much about it. And I think that's exactly why we're sitting here talking about it, because I know that other people in other states do know a lot about it. There's great incentives for people to come out of LA or New York or from across the country to go to places like Washington, Oklahoma, Georgia, West Virginia, South Carolina, I know Texas,
North Carolina,
Louisiana, not Tennessee as far as we can see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I generally believe that's true. I believe that, back up for a second, but I think when you said my background, television, new media at the time, HBO, certainly last week with the Emmys nominating, Netflix got like 11 or 14, okay. Sort of a new deal. I mean, it's a whole new medium, and you know, next year I'm sure Amazon will get the same sort of thing. They're doing a lot of experimental stuff. So there's a lot of money being poured into this kind of thing, and not just film and not just traditional television, and it's an ever-widening gyre, sort of. And we should be doing whatever it takes to get our piece of that. Nashville should be at the forefront of that. Now, I'm not sure what it is we aren't doing or we are doing, but as you pointed out, when one thinks of the states that are doing the most they can, certainly I remember from my days in LA that North Carolina was really at the forefront of it. And I don't know if that's changed that much, but I know from what you've told me, Texas, Louisiana, and certainly Georgia with the Tyler Perry's building a soundstage there.
I mean, there's a number of different types of incentives as well, but it does give filmmakers, when they're looking for different settings. I know South Carolina, in Charleston, I think they still film Army Wives there.
Right.
And I've seen firsthand, I was just there last week, and it spills out into the community. A guy who owned an antique shop rents his biggest warehouse to that production house for them to store things in. They love to have these productions.
There is no doubt that when these productions take root and they stay there, it's a boom to the local. I mean, Canada has part of their gross national product is due to American television and film. It's just you cannot argue against it, and I think the trick is how do you make the local community feel that, and there's some argument against it when these productions come in and just stay for a few months and then leave. They end up bringing their own production crew, and it doesn't really help the local artisans in that. But you know, I don't quite agree with that.
Well, I mean, Nashville has seen that firsthand from the TV series Nashville. I've got some documentation here that states the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development announced, this is prior to the series actually coming here, but they announced that they had approved a grant of up to $7.5 million for Nashville, the TV show, to be filmed in Music City. So
that's what brought it here, right?
That's exactly right. So essentially, you know, they put up that funding, and so they come to Music City. We both know that show could have been made in a sound stage anywhere. We wouldn't have known the difference.
Well, it almost was. You know, that was the thing. It almost moved back to LA.
Well, the second series, you're dead right. In between, there was discussions of them moving back to LA because generally what happens is you can establish yourself within a community and have a community of viewers who then just assume that everything's in Nashville, and it's not. So they were able to perhaps move the second series back to LA, but then the state government got involved and then offered $12.5 million for them to come back and to stay. And I imagine with some of those, with some of that funding and the agreements would be that there would have to be an amount of local people that worked on the production and those sorts of things.
Right. I think my problem with that, and I don't know enough to really comment, but that's what I'm going to do anyway because that's what we're here to do. But is that it's sort of an ad hoc thing. I mean, there should be things that are set in place that producers and studios would know this is what they get if they do X, Y, and Z. This was done just specifically in their case to keep it here. That should be available to anybody who does something of a similar, whether it's Nashville or it's called Chicago and they film it in Nashville. It should be available to anybody.
I mean, the other thing is, I guess that the $12.5 million sounds like a lot of money to a lot of people. I don't know how much that total production would cost, but here's a little trick to a spill to the other side of the things.
But I think that's 12.5 in. They're not putting money.
No, that's true. Right. Reimbursements, but let's be clear also that is a lot of what the tax breaks are, especially in the places like Louisiana that offer 50%. It's a reimbursement basically. So, but one thing I do want to bring up because I know
the taxpayers are not out any money. Let's just put it that way.
That's right.
The best way to look at it.
That's exactly right. But one thing I do want to bring up, because this will be some critics of this who watch will say there are incentives for people to come here, and there truly are some incentives. The Tennessee Film Entertainment and Music Commission offers newly designed 25% cash rebate for all qualifying TN labour and vendor expenditures, including music. So there are rebates, but to me it's kind of like saying to filmmakers, hey, or to mums and dads, hey, you can go to Kroger and get 25% off, or you can dig really deep through the coupons and maybe you'll get 15% off if you can find it. Of course, they're going to go to the other states that brazenly say, come here because we offer this.
In other words, the ones that don't make you dig so much.
That's exactly right.
Well, there is a difference between a rebate and a credit. And I mean, the rebate sounds like they're actually getting additional money added. I'm not sure what the difference is. We should, in our next episode of this, be more clear on it and do our research because we're going to do more of these because I think it's a really interesting area for Nashville. And we really, in my opinion, it may be a PR problem for the city, it may be a PR problem for the state. It doesn't feel like they're doing enough, and it might be as a result of the Nashville dust up over whether or not they were going to leave and go back to LA. But I have a feeling.
Well, I mean, I think I am part owner in a company called the Nashville Imprint, and we have a lot to do with film and getting film off the ground, and primarily with score and with music, and also being a musician. And I can tell you that I think by and large, the PR that's been so focused on Nashville is for music. It is Music City. And I think that we're at the forefront of this wave that's about to crash if we can get on it, where we become an entertainment hub. And if we don't, like you say, much larger cities who can afford it, like, as you were saying before, Atlanta. Tyler Perry is building a massive sound studio, a stage there, and they are claiming that they want to be the next LA or the next New York.
Well, they claim they will be, and that they're about to become that. I mean, of course, it's people in Atlanta, they're telling me that. But they, I mean, I think in general, there is a feeling, and I believe this is true, that we were kind of a mini center for film and video in the 90s, the heyday of music video. Somehow, because music video, the budgets went out of it, and a lot of that moved to LA. Some of our infrastructure probably isn't what it could be. And that sort of leads into what we were going to talk about, which I think is very interesting. Your concept that apparently others have had as well, that we use some of what we've got and beef it up to build a sort of a facilities for these kinds of entities to come in and insert their crews and their budgets and everything without as much fuss and muss building a sound stage just to create the interior of the Bluebird. They had to do that in a warehouse somewhere out, and I'm not sure where, but your idea, which I'll let you say, is extremely good in my opinion.
Well, I mean, I think that as we talk about on Talkapolis as well, because especially on What's Up Nashville is the fairgrounds.
Right.
And it's such a big empty space, and we've been trying to work out what to do with it as a city for quite some time.
Yeah.
And it's been back and forth, but with great success like South by Southwest,
right.
in Austin and the likes. I think that it would make an excellent venue for a soundstage, for independent music films to be viewed
right.
and shown, and for a music event at the same time. I know that we used to have an outdoor music venue, and we no longer have that. The closest thing we have to an outdoor music venue concert festival would be in Manchester, which is Bonnaroo, which is
right.
a great big deal.
Right.
But imagine if we could have that right in the center of the city without closing down Broadway, while bringing some, of the LA celebrities down.
I agree. And, we did an episode in December, brought in Isaac Tigert of this show. Isaac started the House of Blues and the Hard Rock Cafe, has a proposal for the fairgrounds. I did not know what a political, sort of political hornet's nest it was until then. And, it involves the speedway and all sorts of things. And this is all about to come back to the forefront. And a lot of passion is, and I think some kind of facility that would bring jobs and film and TV production to the area that comes out of that is really something that shouldn't have too much opposition if it's done correctly. Now, our friend Andy Van Roon was just texting. He knows something about it, and he said that probably what the city would like to see is a third party with the financing in place for this studio, and then they may listen to it, because as we know, some other people have come with this. Anastasia Brown had a proposal, which sounded great to me, but it might have been too much too soon, who knows, but it makes sense to me.
Yeah, and I know that from the Anastasia Brown point of view, that was done quite a few years ago, maybe even 3 or 4 years ago, and it has changed. Nashville has changed so much in that short amount of time. I mean, it's really coming in leaps and bounds.
Granted, it has, yeah.
This is something that's very close and dear to the Talkapolis family's heart, so we are going to continue this discussion on other episodes of What's Up Nashville, get a few film and TV buffs in here and see what they've got to say about it, maybe even some government officials, and see if
maybe
we
we'll
can't...
get Andy and Mike Pickett in here.
Absolutely, and see if we can't stir up a little bit of a hornet's nest as well.
Right.
But we'd love to hear what you guys think as well, so jump onto the Facebook site and let us know if you have any comments, or if you think that you'd like to see anyone on What's Up Nashville, let us know also. So we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Talkapolis, the social media TV network for your city.